Hey everyone, and welcome to a playthrough for Tunic. If you've not seen or heard of this game before, it's an action-adventure game with plenty of inspiration from other games like Legend of Zelda, and has some great puzzle elements as well as an amazing art style, which has also won a few awards, I believe. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's dive in with a new game. So the first thing you'll see is a lovely bit of sprawling landscape and your main character waking up on the beaches here, or individual little bit of beach. Immediately you can see just how adorable your character is, and you can understand why it can win some awards. Anyway, you'll also notice there's not really any prompts about what you need to do, so just sort of head onwards and go with what you find. First thing we're going to do is look in this charming looking hut or house. And we'll come across a chest, give that an open and find a stick. Very powerful weapon. And now the game is prompting us to hit LB, which opens up our menu, and you can see we can equip the stick to any one of those three buttons, and we can go and hit stuff with it. I've played through this before, and so I'm going to try and play ignorant to the various mechanics of the game until we discover them in this playthrough. So if it looks like I'm doing something stupid, then bear that in mind. So we come across this sign telling us to go to the hero's grave. And after clearing that enemy, we can find this door is locked, so we'll have to go elsewhere. Something worth noting early on before we get into much is in the menu you can have a look through the controls and come across a few little hints of what buttons do. But also you have some accessibility options which allow you to enable no fail mode or no stamina restrictions. A couple of things that mean you can never die or run out of stamina, which if you're finding the gameplay a little bit too difficult, feel free to chuck them on. And likewise in the extra options you can turn down the combat difficulty if you're struggling with that as well. But anyway, we'll just get straight back to it and charging up these staircases. Come across a big ugly enemy here. Ooh, try and avoid taking a hit or two, but let's be honest, there's only so much a stick can do, and I am a bit dense. Anyway, we've come across another sign pointing us towards town, and we'll find if we want to go round here, we can't actually get through these bushes at the moment, so we'll have to find another way. And up the top of these stairs we'll find this shrine, which if you've played any Souls-like games you'll find awfully familiar. And sure enough, if we hit A and rest there, we've got a brand new day with our health back to full, but also you'll see just off the screen there, all the enemies we've killed have respawned. So we've headed into town as far as we can and come across a key. Now if only we knew where to put that. But before we head to that door we were at earlier, we're just going to have a look through this telescope, which is another one of the mechanics of the game. Allows you to get a bit of a better grasp of the map ahead of you. Bunch of scary looking enemies that we don't have to deal with yet. And for now we'll just head back to that door. You'll find this is a very peaceful game to play. Great music, great art style, what more can you really want? Something else that I should probably say before we get much further is this is obviously going to contain quite a few spoilers for the game. So if from this first part, or however far through you get, you like the look of the game, then please go and play it. Try and keep ahead of my gameplay, which probably won't be too difficult. But try and do that so you can avoid some spoilers. But if you're happy just watching, then by all means keep watching. So what we've come across here is the first page of the game manual. This has a few bits of information that will probably be handy to us in the immediate future. We can also click in the right stick on Xbox to have a look at the CRT television in the background. That's very retro. But anyway, let's see what this page has got for us. It's telling us to begin our adventure we need to go and ring the East Bell, and for that we'll have to go through the East Forest, Hero's Grave and Guard Captain. If you remember earlier, we did see a sign for the Hero's Grave, and so we can guess we're heading in the right direction. Keep hitting the wrong button for that, but we can also see a few bits of information on the UI. Nothing too crazy in there, just hints at what equipment we might get later on. Our magic potion that, again, we haven't got yet. And things like where we are, health, stamina, magic, etc. But we can forget about that all for now and just go back to hitting some blobs. Gonna head down this ladder and we can see more bushes we can't cut through. A door we have no idea how to open, yet more bushes and nothing in this direction. So we'll just have to head back the way we came. One big part of Tunic, and incoming spoiler, is that there are various hidden paths or little hidden things around the map which if you were just sort of continuing on your way quite casually you might miss. They don't tend to give you a massive difference in your power, but right here we're going to wander down this path and come across a handy little chest. In this we've found an item which we have no idea what it does, but if we hit LB and go back into our inventory we can see it's in there. But for now we're just going to hold on to it until we find a game manual page that tells us what to do. But yeah, basically if you're wandering around or playing this game and exploring an area, keep an eye on the corners of the map. Usually there's something quite sneaky hidden there, or at least more often than you might expect. Anyway, back to hitting more blobs with a stick and some jars, which again, if you've played Legend of Zelda, that will be very familiar to you. There is actually a sign we can read here, but you may have seen in the game manual as well, there's a bunch of symbols that we can't understand right now. So yeah, that sign is essentially useless to us. And we can continue on our merry way. More bushes that we're unable to cut. And a sign telling us to go to the East Forest. So yet again, we know we're on the right track because we've got the game manual telling us that's point number 1 before we get to the Hero's Grave. Some more friendly blobs to smack around a little bit. Not really sure where they come from, but whatever. We're living in a fantasy world. It doesn't matter where they came from. And we've got another page of the manual, or another 2 pages. First one gives us a few hints of controls or what the buttons do, and the second one tells us a bit more about the A button. So you can see we can press A and roll. Not that that actually says press, or, you know, it's just a bunch of runes. But yeah, A, roll, which we've discovered just from playing anyway. But if we hold it down as well, then we get something else. And that is the ability to sprint. You'll notice that your stamina recovers a bit slower when sprinting, but it does allow you to move around a lot quicker, so it's pretty handy. And then up the top here we can see something that looks like a bell tower, or a bell at the top of a tower. But no way to get there, so we will continue on. Got another shrine here, so we might as well rest. Not that we took any damage because we're a wily little fox, but nonetheless it's helpful to rest at these places. And now we're into the East Forest. Good with most combat to try and approach it cautiously and wait for an opening to appear. You'll learn most enemies will have a very simple set of moves that they use, and you can just wait for the opening. Hitting A on this well gives us absolutely no information at all, so we'll just continue on. And then we'll focus on this fella, but actually, as you can maybe see in the bottom right of our screen here, hitting left trigger gives us a new angle and we can see a new path we can go down. And for now we'll just meander this way. So that's quite a useful tool for finding new ways or new routes around the map, is just by hitting the left trigger. And we've got another telescope that gives us a view of the area in front of us. Some more scary looking enemies that we'll worry about in the future. We can sneak through these trees here and get to another chest. So something else we have no idea what it is, but there it is in the inventory, so we can assume it's going to be something useful. No idea if you get anything from these swords or if they're just adding some flavour. Let's grab this new manual page. Tells us a little bit more about the left trigger and targeting, as well as a bit of information about stamina. Maybe most importantly, or a couple of important things. Don't get your stamina too low, otherwise you may have a few issues with getting knocked over. Also, when you roll, the first few frames will make you immune to any damage, so much like a lot of games and their roll mechanics. However, obviously that's going to need some very good timing. Just going to rest at that shrine because we might as well. We've not travelled far, but we'll see what we can do. Honestly, probably should have not rested there, but it's fine. Fortunately, we're just facing some blobs and the occasional other thing, which I can't remember its name. We actually passed this before, but that's a sign to the hero's grave, so in true adventure style, we're going to go in the wrong direction. Because how else are you supposed to find some treasure? Head up this ladder and over to yet another enemy. That's a bit foolish. Another couple of enemies, which we're going to have to dance around a little bit. That went a lot smoother than the other ones. Don't know if you can... can't get anything here, but you can wander along that little path. Anywho, we'll keep on our way. If you notice something there, you can see the fox having a little stare down into the ground. This is a handy way of discovering some secrets, because your fox will tend to look at chests or enemies that you maybe can't see. So that's something we'll loop back to a little bit later. But for now, we've opened this chest and got ourselves a potion. We can see now if we press the right bumper, or RB, we will be able to drink that potion and heal ourselves. We can just head back down and out the way we came. Ignore those enemies and go back to the shrine, because you'll see now that our potions get refilled when we have a little rest. Now we've got another sign pointing us to Hero's Grave, so that's going to be our next priority. Another lovely blob. We love these enemies, they're so nice to face. Fortunately, we can be a bit cautious with them. Just one hit and roll away. It would help if that hit actually did hit. And that's them dealt with far better than the first one I dealt with. I will try and get just one of them to see us. No, it doesn't matter too much. That's one little hit. You can see they're not super observant if you're behind them, and I'm not super observant if they're in front of me. But that does mean you get an opportunity to get a few hits on them. We're going to approach this guy the same way as the big blobs, by just getting in sneaky hits and backing away. That was lucky. That's him dealt with, and we can push on. You can see there's a chest behind those bushes we can't deal with just yet. And something we can interact with here, which will, as you can maybe expect, open up that door. Some bushes to weave through, but here we are at the Hero's Grave, where we've just found a sword. Give that a little equip. And that's confirmation we are at the Hero's Grave, because here they lie. We can finally, however, deal with these annoying bushes. So let's go back up here and get this chest. Another sort of sneaky path through those bushes there. We can just get our way to another chest here. That's another one of those things we came across earlier. So if we check our inventory, you can now see we've got two of them. Again, we'll just hold on to them for now. Don't want to spoil anything prematurely. And we can head back this way. So you'll maybe have also seen another chest was there on a higher up path. For now we're just going to have a little rest here, get that tiny bit of health back. But there is an upper path that we can get to over here. See if we can deal with these quite scary looking enemies. We'll just kite them away a bit. Easy enough. Unfortunately, our friend up there doesn't know how to use a ladder. Also, our friend over here doesn't seem to want to move, so we'll just keep out of his business and he'll keep out of ours. Those enemies have respawned, but that's not really an issue because we don't need to go down near them. So instead we can just open up this chest and get a fire bomb. Again, something we're going to save for a slightly rainier day. And we'll head back the way we came. Again, avoiding this lovely fella. Now we could head up to where that guy is, but for now we're going to take this other route because we've got to explore everywhere before we go the right way. Of course, there's no idea of knowing whether or not this is the right way just yet, but it's the nearest way, so we'll take that. And there is another couple of fire bombs. More rainy days ahead. Just wanted to demonstrate that those big ugly guys can end up hitting their friends if they're a little bit careless. Granted, they don't hit each other, they seem to only hit certain other types of animal or monster. Got ourselves another little hidden path here I've just wandered down, and another little chest with weird looking thing in it. Again, save it for a rainy day. We'll come across a page at some point that will give us a bit more insight on most of the things that we come across. That's sort of the nature of this game, is you're left in the dark until you eventually find an appropriate page of the manual. That was lucky he didn't hit me. And there's absolutely nothing we can do here, so we'll move on. Also nothing we can do here, but we can see a chest on the other side that we assume we'll come back to at some point in the future. So pushing on, we've got a lovely setup here for an ambush, so I wonder what's going to happen. Fortunately, when you open a chest, or when the chest is finally open, time does freeze, but you can see some delightful spiders in the background there, which we're going to promptly run away from for a moment, and quickly equip our dynamite before chucking one over to them. That's most of them down. We'll try and deal with this last one in a fair fight. That was close. And that was simple enough, so another little sneaky path down here. Gets us to yet another chest, and we have a golden coin with a fox on it. Yet another item that we don't know how to use just yet. So we'll push on. More stuff that we can't do right now. But don't worry, we'll eventually be back. Got a few ladders that are going to take us up and take us to some place quite familiar. So we're back at the East Forest. But before we have a little rest at that shrine, I'm just going to sneak through these back paths again, because there is another little secret I want to show you guys. Something that comes back to a little face of the fox head earlier. So earlier we were up there and we were looking, and you can see quite suspiciously our fox is intent on going through here. There are a few walls in this game which you can chuck dynamite at and they'll open up. Some of them are marked by flowers on the floor like that one, but not all of them, I don't think. But anyway, we blew up that wall, got ourselves another chest and 100 more coins. Not that we have a use for them yet anyway. And we'll sneak back through this little forest path. We don't actually need to rest because we've not taken any hits. So we're going to head up here and say hello to our friends who couldn't work out how to use a... Ooh, that wasn't very nice. Say hello to our friends who couldn't figure out how to use a ladder. They were so kind to us that we're actually going to rest at this shrine so we can go and greet them again. Maybe a bit more formally this time. Ooh, that was great, wasn't it? Ooh. So I'll just say there's no real downside to dying in this game. I would just rather not right now. See how far I can get without dying. Caught myself in a bit of an unlucky situation there, so figured might as well have a little rest, seeing as I'm right next to the shrine there. But on our third attempt, we've finally dealt with those two fellas. Not the most elegant solution. Our little fox head is just staring down at the enemies beneath us, so no chests to worry about. Do have another locked gate though, so we'll just head up this path. And here we have another little mechanism we can interact with and open up that gate. You may also find this place familiar. We have been in here before, just on the downstairs bit, which after activating that mechanism we could go down to, but there's no need. It's just a shortcut if we find ourselves needing to come back here later. A chest containing what looks like a bit of a potion, and a few jars over here, and if you're eagle-eyed you'll see we also have a chest here. Another not so subtle one, but it's just out of line of sight anyway. And now we can head through this door. And would you look at that, we've got a familiar face. That's the fellow we're after, so we can assume that's our guard captain. And sure enough, so again, you can keep your distance and try and wait for an opening. He's got a little bit of a dive to him, not a very nice one. So instead we're going to just throw some dynamite, dive out the way, have a potion, and give him a bit of a stab. Obviously that could have gone very wrong, but it turned out quite favourably. So now we can activate another mechanism and head through this little gateway. And there we have another potion. If we hadn't gone the other route we'd found earlier, then that would have been our first potion. The benefit of exploring. A few more things for us to pointlessly destroy, but we are quite a mischievous fox. And we found ourselves back in a familiar place. First of all, let's open up this chest. And after interacting, we can see it's telling us to hit it. And that is the Eastern Bell Tower activated. We can also interact with this and create a little shortcut down. Now our only way is, well, back the way we came. But there's definitely some bushes we've got vendettas against, blocking our path, so we're going to deal with them, and that will open up new stuff. And speaking of which, we're going to go down this sneaky path here. Yet another interesting item, but this one isn't a consumable like the others. This one instead is just question mark for now. You won't actually find anything else here, but we can see a couple of chests that we assume we'll get to in the future. So now we can finally go through this way. Gonna leave this random blob in here. They're not hurting anyone. They'll be stuck there forever. And conveniently, we've just come across a map to the overworld, as well as a map to Under the Well. If we head back to our initial page, we can see there's a few steps for ringing the west bell, which is to go to the old house, then the flooded well, the dark tomb, and the west garden, as well as another step that we don't know yet. But if we go back here, we'll see we've got the old house smack bang in the middle there, and then the well up there, dark tomb, and the western garden. And there is the bell tower, so we assume that's going to help us get there. There's a few other things dotted on the map, like the mountain door and the sealed temple, but we don't need to worry about them right now. The only other thing worth noting is that's where you are on the map there. You're marked by this little fox image, I guess. And yeah, we'll just push on. Now we've got another mechanism to activate and another little shortcut. This one leads us back to another familiar place, this shrine, where we're going to have a little rest, and we're going to call it there because that seems as good a point as any to end it. We've gone through our first little bit of the story and got ourselves a sword, but that's everything for this time. Let me know if you've enjoyed it. I'll definitely be continuing on with the adventure, so stay tuned if you want to see more of it. And if it looks like a game you'd enjoy, then by all means go and try it out. But yeah, that's everything for this time, so if you're looking for more videos, then check out my channel. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.